This is it for the week, my friends. We're off tomorrow. A college in Massachusetts bans the American flag. A professor at another college says America's got a problem with pronouns. And a Mexican who objected to Mexicans being called rapists has been charged with, rape. My name's Howard Riell, and this is Riell Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com, and on Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, and the book Riell Truth, Stay Angry. On Twitter, hashtag Riell Truth, at RiellTruth.com. And as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. Our call-in number is 877-254-7524. Item from Bloomberg.com. On the surface, the message from the University of Michigan's final reading of consumer sentiment for November is that President-elect Donald Trump will fix what ails the nation fast. The Consumer Expectations Index of the survey rose by 8.4 points from October to 85.2, a one-month gain last exceeded in December 2011. A testament to households' optimistic view on the outlook for the U.S. economy and their own pocketbooks. Unquote. My friends, it's not just your humble host who's feeling more optimistic these days. Markets are soaring because they know Donald Trump is going to do exactly what he said he would do, make America great again, starting with revving up what will become a roaring American economy. People are going to have more money, and that's only a good thing. Now, for the naysayers and the pinheads who say, well, Hillary Clinton almost won. She got the popular vote. Let's bring it back to earth. Total number of counties in the United States is 3,083. All right, there are 3,083 counties. Trump won 2,597 of them, or 84%. Hillary Clinton won 16% of the counties, 16% in the whole country. And she did that with a combination of votes from illegal aliens and votes from people who have died. Together with a big, huge, titanic push from the media and from the Democrats and from some Republicans. So the idea that Hillary Clinton almost became president is really not true. In fact, it's not even close to true. In fact, you've got to be a partisan pinhead to suggest such a thing. America is on the way up, thanks to Donald Trump. It's Wednesday. It's our last broadcast day of the week, and we'll be right back.
Ladies, this is Danny Golden informing you that heart attacks in women can be different than heart attacks in men. Women having heart attacks will experience nausea, vomiting, indigestion, shortness of breath, or simply sudden and extreme fatigue, but no chest pain. Get emergency medical help and call 911 immediately if you are experiencing any of these symptoms. Pain, pressure, burning or squeezing in the chest, jaw, shoulders, back, or arms that last more than 5 to 10 minutes. Unexplained shortness of breath lasting more than 5 to 10 minutes. Sudden severe nausea, vomiting, or indigestion. Sudden sweating for no reason. Sudden unexplained extreme fatigue. Loss of consciousness or fainting. Or sudden unexplained panicky feeling of doom. The key, ladies, is to listen to your body. Follow your instincts, and if you experience symptoms that are disturbing to you in any way, or even remotely related to your heart, get yourself checked out right away. If your doctor brushes you off, that's a sign you need a new doctor, one who will actually do what is necessary to get to the bottom of your symptoms.
The Patriot Trading Group is a different kind of gold and silver company, cleaning up the industry for 21 years. Are you tired of the high-pressure sales tactics, the constant phone calls? Are you done with the bait and switch? You just want to be treated fairly with honesty and respect? That's exactly what you get when you call 800-951-0592. You have my word on it. I'm Joe Kingwood, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Check us out online at allamericangold.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. Riell Truth, Howard Riell. We're off tomorrow for Turkey Day, so this is it. Unless, of course, you want to get my book, Riell Truth, Stay Angry. You can find it at BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon.com, VirtualBookworm.com, other places. If you love the radio show, you'll love the book. Makes a great gift idea, too, by the way. I merely throw that in. Fox News. Tucker Carlson talking to Newt Gingrich about Trump's appointments. He's going to talk about Ben Carson. He's also going to talk about Mitt Romney, which I think would be a major, major blunder. Anyway, here we go. See, at this point, the video is supposed to click on. I know because I've read the textbook. But it's not clicking on. Okay. I'm going to very deftly get past this. And I'm going to go to inside Donald Trump's relationship with the press. You notice the way I quickly transitioned? You didn't even notice it. Here we go. You're not noticing this either, are you? Okay. Strike two. Okay. Let's see just how deft I can be. We're going to go to InfoWars, Alex Jones, Roger Stone, talking about this decision. This decision not to prosecute, not to have a special prosecutor for Hillary Clinton, which I think is pure crap. Let's listen to this. If this doesn't work, then I'm ready to give up.
But it's perfect time. Stone never calls in, hardly ever says, oh, emergency, I want to come on air. Talk about breaking news. Let me guess. I bet it's dealing with Conway announcing that Trump won't go after Hillary. Well, it's not Trump's job to go after Hillary. It'll be the Attorney General. And I would think Jeff Sessions being chosen for the nomination for confirmation in the Senate as the Attorney General will be a major signal that justice is being done. We'll find out right now. It was over a week ago. I learned from sources. I talked to Stone. He heard the same thing, that Chelsea Clinton was contacting Ivanka Trump, Trump's daughter, and saying, please don't go after my mommy and my daddy. We're going to find out right now from Roger Stone. Roger Stone, what's the breaking news?
Well, I am somewhat stunned, and I'm hopeful, like Alex, as so many other supporters of Donald Trump are, that Ms. Conway is somehow incorrect. I think you're exactly right, that this is not a question immediately for the president. It's a question for the grand jury. And that either we are a nation of laws or we are a nation of men. Now, we were told over and over again during Watergate that no person was above the law. In all honesty, the criminality of the Clintons is such that we don't even have a full catalog of the crimes for which they could be.
It dwarfs Nixon.
Correct. The assertion by FBI Director Comey that the 650,000 emails contains no damning evidence against the Clintons is false. NYPD was pressured to go along with that narrative, lest justice indict a number of officers in the Eric Garner controversy. So NYPD was blackmailed through Election Day because they've seen the emails and they know otherwise. So I think that a special prosecutor, someone of true independence, has to look at the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton email scandal so far, the 650,000 Wiener Puma treasure trove of emails to determine whether some charges should be brought against Hillary or Bill or Chelsea or Podesta or many of their co-conspirators.
I personally just think
I am hopeful that this doesn't reflect the president's view. Now, I'm going to post a petition at StoneColdTruth.com to President-elect Trump, to Jeff Sessions, who, although I have some disagreements with him on marijuana policy and drug law reform, nonetheless, I think is a solid, law and order patriot and a guy who has had the courage to be there for Donald Trump, unlike, say, oh, I don't know, Mitt Romney, kind of insulting boarding party. Romney, a man who called Donald Trump a con man, a fraud. It's not just, respectful disagreement or, Donald isn't really qualified. It's not even opposition. It was needlessly personal, and obviously turns out to be wrong. Isn't it ironic? Mitt struggled in Ohio. Trump carried Ohio easily. I don't know.
All right, guys, let's, we got about a minute before we go to break. Item from AOL.com. In recent days, many have reacted with disgust and anger over a video showing white supremacists gathered in a celebratory mood over Donald Trump's presidential win. Ann Coulter inserted herself into the discussion on Monday night, tweeting, quote, total number of deaths connected to American Nazi Party in the last quarter century, 0. Total number of deaths connected to Al Sharpton, 9 I know of, unquote. Droves have reacted to her words with disgust and anger as well. Among them, Perez Hilton, who wrote on Twitter, Ann Coulter is now a Nazi. Stop. Perez, you're an idiot. Ann Coulter is not a Nazi. She's simply delineating who is the threat, who is the major threat, and who is not. Al Sharpton is a piece of garbage, but he's got his own TV show. And people respect him and go to him for comments, and they care what he has to say, when he is much more odious and has done much more harm to this country than the pinheads in the American Nazi Party, who get together and drink beer and look at each other because there's something psychological going on. They like to be around guys in leather and dungaree jackets. And they get together and grumble every once in a while, then they go home and they go back to their jobs at Walmart or McDonald's. She's right. The danger to America is not the morons in the American Nazi Party. The danger to America is con men like Al Sharpton, like Louis Farrakhan, like Jesse Jackson, and like Barack Obama. That's the threat that faces America. Let's take a break. Riell Truth will continue. Of that, have no fear.
And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
Bring us down 4.
Census, the uniformed people in greetings, police, firefighters, EMT, 9/11 dispatch, Board of Ours teams. We thank them for doing a great job keeping our area a better place to live, shop, and raise a family. We realize their job is dangerous and sometimes painful. Message from Census, the uniformed people in greetings. Call 352-2233. They're on the air because they care. Named one of the most admired outsourcing companies in America. Census, the uniformed people in Greeley. Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo.
All right, guys, welcome back to Riell Truth. Let me get into something with you. Here's a piece that was written by someone named Elizabeth Reese, professor of gender studies at the City University of New York's Macaulay Honors College. Now, I didn't know they had such a thing as gender studies. I guess it's just one more part of the crap curriculum that students in college today get. She's the author of most recently something called Bodies in Doubt, An American History of Intersex. So that tells you where Elizabeth Reese is coming from, all right? So hold on to your heads. Make sure you've got some Tylenol available. And let me read through this. And listen closely to the words, because the words are what matter here. Here we go. Quote, "My fall classes started recently, and I had to face the pronoun question. It's simple for me. My appearance matches my preferred pronoun, so I don't worry about anyone misstating it. But some of my students are transgender or gender non-conforming, and they want to announce how others should refer to them, or do they?" Now, my friends, let me take a time out here. I've wrapped my brain finally around transgender. Gender non-conforming? That means the person needs really intensive psychological therapy. Let's continue. Again, this is Elizabeth Reese, some wacko professor. "At some colleges and universities, it's common for students to introduce themselves, whether in a class or in student groups, by name, followed by a string of pronoun. I'm Lizzie, she, her, hers, for example. I find the exercise discomforting, but not because I don't know the students' pronouns. It's because this ice-breaking ritual, in my experience, is easy only for those for whom the answer is obvious. It can, quote-unquote, out or isolate others, particularly those who are still considering their gender or have just begun to transition." Stop! People who are still considering their gender. Let me help them out. Go into a bathroom, go into a stall, unzip your clothing, look south. That might give you some indication, possibly, maybe, perhaps, of your gender. If it doesn't, then ask your parents. I continue. When we go around the room in class, students visibly react when they hear that someone they thought looked male goes by female pronouns or vice versa. In other words, you might have a guy who wants to be called she, or you might have a woman who wants to be called he. You're getting this, right? This happened in my class a few years back. All eyes fell upon this person as if to ask, if you identify as female, why don't you try to look the part? My heart went out to this student, who later told me she was just beginning to think about her transition and hadn't yet started to publicly change anything about herself other than her name. Now, mind you, my friends, this is a young man who has not decided about her appearance. You with me so far? Let's continue. She looked like any other guy in the class, except she had adopted a traditionally female name and used female pronouns on this day when asked. This is the kind of student for whom we might think the pronoun exercise would be perfect. Once she identified herself, again, remember, it's talking about a guy, no one would accidentally misgender her in class. Now stop, my friends, are you allowed to say misgender, or shouldn't it be Ms. Gender, or possibly Mr. Gender? But in fact, as the student explained to me later, having to say her pronouns in a room full of strangers terrified her. She would have preferred to state her female name and leave it at that. So, for example, my friends, let me interrupt. Could be a big girly 6'4", 280 guy named George, but he wants to be known as Tiffany. If we had done traditional introduction, some of the students would have put two and two together and assumed she was transitioning. Others might have thought she had an unusual name for a guy. I mean, you don't usually see football players named Tiffany or Crystal. Some might have thought she was gender queer. You allowed to say gender queer? And comfortable with a male appearance and a female name. And yet others would have shrugged their shoulders and thought, whatever. Stop. I'm going to stop right there. I want to make an important point here. First of all, when you're confronted with a young man or woman, depending on which and wherefore, who really is screwed up, and I don't mean to be flippant, really got psychological, emotional problems, heavy-duty problems. No one should say whatever. We should always try to help this individual. We do not help them by calling a him a her and a her a him. We help them by recommending therapy, maybe family therapy, talking to the parents, doing something to get this person into a psychologically healthy state. But telling him that she's a he because he's a her, except on the days when he doesn't want to be known as a she because he's a he, I don't see that that serves anybody except maybe comedy writers. All right, let's go to some video. I've got Kellyanne Conway on Fox News talking about Trump's cabinet selection process. I'm reasonably certain that she's a she. Here we go.
Senior advisor to the presidential transition team. Kellyanne, great to see you.
Megan.
So what does that mean, fairness, right? Because I'll venture a guess, as we saw a lot of those executives going in, for the viewers, we saw a bunch of Fox News executives going in there. We saw Jeff Zucker, president of CNN, standing there, just in case you don't know those faces. So there was all the muckety-mucks from all of the media, cable, broadcast, you name it. What is fairness to Trump, to President-elect Trump?
Fairness is actually not having presumptive negativity written about you and always assuming the worst about you. And I think that Donald Trump has faced an unprecedented avalanche of critical coverage when he was running. And frankly, I think in part he owes his victory to that. There was a backlash against the elites, a backlash against those who were telling Americans what is important to them. This statement, this transgression, this issue, whereas if you look at the Fox News polls, CNN, ABC, NBC, everybody was there, CBS polls, you see that Americans were very focused on jobs in the economy, healthcare, immigration, terrorism. I mean, the Q's and clues of this election were right in front of us.
Let me ask you, and by the way, the one that sticks out in my mind and has all along was the New York Times piece on Melania Trump. Melania Trump, the spouse, right? She's not a candidate. Calling her a mannequin and a trophy wife, which if anybody had ever said that about Michelle Obama was a successful lawyer, but Melania Trump has been a successful businesswoman. She speaks several languages. A mannequin and a trophy wife, and it was just fine. They're allowed to say that about her.
It's as if the editors had off that week, and so that's just
the respect goes both ways, right? It does. But let me ask you about that, because even though the media did that to him, right, in his view, and obviously it's true in many cases that they went after him with abandon, the public did see through it. So has he learned anything from that? You know, can we expect him to have a thicker skin as president, given that he made it, notwithstanding that kind of coverage?
Well, he does have a thick skin, frankly. Somebody works very closely with him and was in that room today, directly beside him. I will say this, though. That's not what the meeting was about. The meeting is not about settling scores and avenging grievances and bringing up different types of coverage. I think it's saying, really, that Donald Trump was the one person in that room who got it right, who understood America and reflected back to them what their aspirations and their fears and their frustrations were. And now everybody has to work together. They're the fourth estate. They're incredibly powerful. Anchors like you are incredibly powerful in terms of distilling the information and reporting the news and maybe some opinion to the public, Megan, in a fair-handed and complete way. And who will be the president of the United States? So we can have mutual...
He knows he's going to get hit, though. He's the president. He's going to get hit. He's going to get hit often. He's not going to like it. That's the way it works, you know?
All right, here's a message to Megyn Kelly. Okay, let me help her out a little bit. I hope she listens to the show, watches it on video as show prep. Megyn, baby, listen to me. I think Donald Trump knows by now he's going to get hit in the press. His problem isn't getting hit in the press. His problem is being hit unfairly in the press, inaccurately, slanderously, vengefully. Those are the things that Donald Trump and anyone who wants an honest press objects to. It's not that he's going to get hit. He's got a thick skin. But bring facts. Bring truth. That's not a lot to ask. It's not a lot to ask, Megyn. I do it on my show, and I don't get paid for doing my show. You get paid millions for doing your show, and quite frankly, a lot of what you talk about is crap. Lesson over. Back to Kellyanne Conway.
That's the way it works, but it should be relevant to the job, and it should be relevant to the voters. And I have to tell you, as someone who was like a chief spokeswoman for him and his campaign manager, it wasn't always relevant to what Americans out there were telling us at rallies or telling pollsters behind the scenes concerned them. But I actually, having sat there, I thought thought it was very cordial, very genial. I thought it was.
So if we cover him the same way, let's say to Kelly Powell, if we cover him the same way we cover Barack Obama, the same amount, the same skeptical eye, he's going to be fine with that.
Excuse me. Megan, baby. Covered Barack Obama with a skeptical eye? How come I missed that? Did I sleep late that morning? I haven't seen any skeptical eyes cast on Barack Obama. I see Barack Obama spits on the press, and the press says, "Oh, wow, it's raining. How beautiful." No. No, Megan. No one has gone after Barack Obama with even 1/100th of the fervor or the dishonesty with which they've gone after Donald Trump. Megyn Kelly's a lawyer, not a journalist.
Yes, but can you say that about everyone that's going to cover him? I mean, you had journalists saying during the campaign, Megan, that Donald Trump compels them to suspend all objective standards of journalism.
Yes,
they
correct.
wrote about it.
We had all those journalists on this program and pressed them.
I'm sure you did. And
the inappropriateness of that.
That's right. It's completely inappropriate. It's not journalism. It's opinion.
That's right.
And it's sort of stop him at all costs.
That's right. If you want to take off your journalist outfit and declare yourself a pundit and go argue against him, go for it. But you can't wear both hats.
Right. And even the coverage over the last 2 weeks since he did win the election, it's been a combination of a few people wanting to cover his next 100 days, you know, what he wants to do in office. He's been very clear about that 100-day plan. Your viewers can go pull it up on our website right now, his 100-day plan for them to see. But then you have others still fighting the last war. You have other people on TV, a lot of pundits on TV, frankly, everywhere, really just trying to deny him and delegitimize him.
Well, you know,
let me say this. Megyn Kelly is not fighting the last war on her TV show. I must say, because that's the case. She's pitching her book. She's got a new book out, so she's talking about her book, and she's showing a book, and then she'll talk about the book, show the book again, and then involve someone else in talking about her book. Now, I got a question for you. I've written the book. I have not yet been invited onto major media TV to talk about it, to push it, to sell it, to hawk it. She's writing her crap reminiscences of how hard her life was. It wasn't that hard. And she's been given all the free publicity in the world to hawk her book on Fox News. I don't know why. I don't know who's watching Fox who's simple enough to want to read her book. I'm not. Item. From AmericanLookout.com, Donald Trump's haters always end up being complete hypocrites. Take, for instance, the Hispanic activist who was oh so offended when Trump said Mexico was sending criminals and rapists across the U.S. southern border, along with drugs and illegal guns. Well, now the tables have turned. Fox 13 reports, well-known Hispanic activist Tony Yapias was charged with rape after he allegedly assaulted a woman who ended their 4-year relationship a few months ago. Yapias, 50, known as Adolfo Tony Yapias Delgado, was formally charged in the 3rd District Monday with rape, a first-degree felony and evidence tampering, a Class A misdemeanor. Yapias is the director of Proyecto Latino de Utah, unquote. It doesn't say it, but I'll fill it in. Mr. Yapias is also a putz. He also needs to go back to his country of birth. Now, I don't know if he's guilty. I'm not pronouncing sentence. But for this jerk to go public and say, how dare he call us rapists, and then allegedly rape a woman or come close to raping a woman, you got to laugh, right? And it would be funny if it were not a tragedy for America. Item from the Washington Post. The day after the election, some people at Hampshire College reacted to the news of Donald Trump's victory by calling for the removal of the American flag at the center of the campus, saying it was a symbol of racism and hatred. Jonathan Lash, president of the small liberal arts college, said that lowering the flag to half-staff offended many, and the backlash was immediate, especially from veterans and military families who saw it as disrespectful of the tradition of national mourning. So on Friday, Lash told the campus community its efforts to convey respect and sorrow had the opposite effect. He announced the college would remove the flag entirely. My friends, I think it would be very instructive if the college removed Jonathan Lash.
Reasons to own gold. Brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group. crisis, instead of breaking up too big to fail, the government and the Federal Reserve created Dodd-Frank and made too big to fail banks even bigger, while putting your deposits more at risk. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. To learn more, visit us at allamericangold.com or call us at 800-951-0592. Now this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10. Elizabeth Locker, Planet Elizabeth, reminds our listeners that the drug problem is well documented. We know our kids will be approached at early ages. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had the strength to say no to drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. That's from Elizabeth Locker Plant, located at 366 Grant Street in Elizabeth, serving our area since 1943 and specializing in naturalized aged beef and pork and complete custom processing. Call 303-688-2240. That's 303-688-2240. Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call, 303-757-5166, 303-757-5166. Piccolo.
All right, guys, welcome back. Howard Riell Truth. I can't think of a better, more articulate, more reality-based spokesperson for normal thought, if we can call it that, than Ann Coulter. Here she is being interviewed on the Glenn Beck Show, relayed on the Book TV, C-SPAN 2. This is from yesterday. That's recent enough. Here we go.
Buck Sexton in for Glenn Beck today on the Glenn Beck program. We're joined now by Ann Coulter, who has tons of bestsellers, including Adios America and her latest, E Pluribus, awesome, In Trump We Trust. And great to have you.
Great to be here, Buck.
So have you gotten tired yet of people telling you you were right, how did you know, all that sort of stuff? Do you have like a special mailbox you've set up just for all of that?
Not at all. For in Trump's America, I wake up every day with a smile on my face.
What do you think of Trump going in to meet with all these media bigwigs yesterday, and from what the reports are at least, giving them, I think, what you could call a piece of his mind?
It's fantastic. It's like Christmas every day. They really deserve it. The media has just decided to, or has decided to completely sacrifice its credibility. And what did they get out of it? They didn't elect Hillary anyway. I've never seen anything like this. I've read about the Goldwater era and the McCarthy era. It's nothing like what they threw at Trump. And then they have the audacity to sit back and say, oh, it's our fault. We created him. No, they lied nonstop. I mean, just to take two, and I have a lot of these in my book, In Trump We Trust, but two examples. One is the really vicious and ugly claim being made to this day that Donald Trump mocked a disabled man. As this website, I write about it in my book before these videos have come out, because I found it highly implausible, even without the rock-solid proof that it's a lie. For one thing, he was Trump was flailing his arms and his mouth was hanging open, and he had good reason to attack the reporter who denied his own reporting about Muslims celebrating the 9/11 attack. The Washington Post fact checker, just to give you the background, the Washington Post fact checker had given Donald Trump 4 Pinocchios for claiming Muslims in New Jersey celebrated after 9/11. Their position was absolutely no Muslims had celebrated. And then, slowly reports came in where there are provably hundreds of Muslims celebrating in New Jersey and the boroughs around New York. So that was once again the media pretending not to understand the figure of speech. I noticed they were doing it for something again today. But if I say I called you 1,000 times, that doesn't literally mean 1,000 times. But from the Washington Post's own reporting, I mean, they put on Glenn Kessler, Mr. Fact Checker at the Post, claimed he put his whole team on this. But how do you prove the donut hole? There's nothing there. So Donald Trump produces an article from the Washington Post itself about a week after 9/11, saying that Muslims had celebrated in New Jersey, and the reporter of that article, to curry favor with his media bosses, denied his own reporting, said that the report was not true. So that was the report he was attacking, but the point is his disability is almost exactly the opposite of what Trump was doing. The reporter's wrists are locked in place. He's not epileptic. He doesn't flail around. And then Catholics for Truth came out. This is the proof positive that shows not only was the media lying, but they knew they were lying, and were going out of their way to hide their lies. Catholics for Truth put up these videos of Trump doing the exact same imitation in that same speech of a flustered general. There's another one of Trump doing the exact same imitation of a flustered Ted Cruz. He even does the exact same imitation of himself being flustered. And when Catholics for Truth posted this comment on a Washington Post article, this is the consciousness of guilt part, posted, well, actually, this is just how Donald Trump does a flustered person, as you can see in this video from the same speech. The Washington Post took that comment down. There was nothing offensive about it. There were no, anti-Semitic slurs or racism or anything. It was just.
You mean there weren't flustered generals? There weren't flustered generals all across the country who were saying, "How dare you?"
Right. And that's just. I mean, that shows consciousness of guilt. They didn't want anyone to see that video. And much more quickly, I would just say. I mean, even liberals are now admitting that the claim that Trump was saying, and it is repeated as if it's a fact to this day, that Trump was referring to Megyn Kelly's period when he said blood was coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever. Come on, in the same interview, he said essentially the same thing about Charles Krauthammer.
Wait, but and there's more recent media stuff that I want to ask you about, like the big meeting, the huge meeting of white nationalists in D.C. getting a lot of attention the last couple of days. I think they might have had enough for a full softball match.
Oh my gosh, Buck, this is so insane. These irrelevant people holding an irrelevant meeting, and by the way, with absolutely zero connection to Donald Trump or anyone on his team or anyone who might possibly be on his team. And this is covered like it is a serious, like it is a thing that he hasn't. The fact that he hasn't denounced it, I've seen on cable news, is evidence in and of itself that Trump isn't hard enough on white supremacists. This is what they're saying. We've got to start demanding denunciations from why isn't? I mean, Democrats are repeatedly endorsed by the Communist Party USA. They are repeatedly, when they run for president, endorsed by communist dictators. Willie Horton endorsed Michael Dukakis. My guess is he was voting for Hillary. Can we get endorsements or disavowals for all of that? It's just so crazy how they have to go. I mean, I'm not sure David Duke even exists, as I've written. I think he is. This is a myth because the only time you hear about him is every 4 years when Democrats, or rather, excuse me, the media demand that the Republican running for president disavow this irrelevant man.
Now, we have the Trump administration getting a fair amount of heat continuously from the media about not denouncing these kinds of things. I just want to, do you think at some point they will tire of this? Because I thought that protesters, the people that are already upset about a Trump administration that hasn't even come into being yet. I've actually walked through some of these protests where it seems like they just want to spew profanity and yell things about how Trump won. They're very upset. Do they get tired, or are we looking at 4 years of Trump is the reason for the rise of white nationalism? And, oh, there was a conference of 50 of them. Didn't you hear about it somewhere?
As a matter of fact, what this guy just said is absolutely right. People who want to go out there and march, scream, yell, chant, they want to do it for a variety of reasons. They want people to know they did it so people will think good things about them. They want to get out and do something because they're bored. I mean, they don't own any books, so they're not going to spend their time reading. They go out there, maybe the guys will meet a chick. Or maybe the guys will meet other guys. They do it as a social function. Hey, let's go to a rally. Let's go to a march. It'll be fun. We'll throw stuff. We'll vent. Well, I think when these people are venting, and they're blocking traffic on the highway, I think maybe the police ought to be allowed to vent also. We'll call it a vent-in. And so when they're setting fire to trees, which I saw on video, throwing bottles at police horses, smashing cars, looting stores, I think we got to give the police an opportunity to vent also. And in so doing, maintain order in our society. Real Truth will continue in a moment, my friends. Stick around.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution.
Census, the uniformed people in greetings, police, firefighters, EMTs, and 9/11 dispatchers support in our community. We thank them for doing a great job keeping our area a better place to live, shop, and raise a family. Realize their job is dangerous and sometimes thankless. This message is from Census, the uniformed people in greeting. Call 352-2233. They're on the air because they care. Named one of the most admired outsourcing companies in America. Census, the uniformed people in Greeley.
If catastrophe struck, would your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Paris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Paris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Paris Survival.
Welcome back to Real Truth. Howard Real. Remember, we're off tomorrow. So if you absolutely can't live without Real Truth, go online, buy a copy of Real Truth, Stay Angry. Fantastic reading. You'll love it. Item from TruthKings.com. The cast of Hamilton saddled up on a rather high horse over the weekend when they lectured Vice President-elect Pence, as well as paying They lectured Mike Pence over political differences, okay? The social justice warrior campaign letter was read by actor Brandon Victor Dixon. Of course, as is true with most liberal slights, hypocrisy is typically looming just beyond the horizon. In the case of Dixon, that hypocrisy turns out to be a tweet he sent out in 2012, which seems to imply that it's okay for black dudes to take advantage of drunken white girls. Some might call that rape. Unquote. So, some African-American actor, dimwit, Brandon Victor Dixon, Now, I never called him a punk ass, all right? I want that very clear. I never called this guy a punk ass. He's the one who is lecturing Mike Pence, who's got about 120 more IQ points than he does, about proper comportment. Meanwhile, this guy's got that on his record. Plus, he's merely an actor. All right. That's what you call chutzpah. Let's go to Lou Dobbs on Fox News. This was yesterday. Let's hear what he has to say. He's a good man.
Good evening, everybody. President-elect Trump seemed to be taking some pleasure from confounding his critics and his supporters today as he ventured into what has been enemy territory, visiting the New York Times and sitting down with their journalists, editorial writers, and columnists, not one of whom has been, well, what you could call flattering to Mr. Trump. The entire flailing paper, in fact, has consistently berated him as candidate and now president-elect. The Times reporting that Trump showed little interest in further investigation of former rival Hillary Clinton, although he did not take the option off the table, they faithfully and accurately reported, we're sure. Trump transition team's senior advisor, Kellyanne Conway, said Mr. Trump would not push for prosecutors to investigate Clinton for her email practices or the operations of the Clinton Foundation.
I think when the president-elect, who's also the head of your party now, Joe, tells you before he's even inaugurated he doesn't wish to pursue these charges, it sends a very strong message, tone and content to the members. If Donald Trump can help her heal, then perhaps that's a good thing.
Mr. Trump more focused on moving ahead, but his transition team seems to be torn at the moment on who to recommend to him for the highest unfilled post, that of Secretary of State. The Wall Street Journal reporting there's a divide now between Rudy Giuliani and Governor Mitt Romney, or possibly even reaching out to someone altogether different. Meanwhile, Trump released a videotape outlining executive actions and initiatives he could take on day one, and it all starts with the economy.
On trade, I am going to issue a notification of intent to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a potential disaster for our country. Instead, we will negotiate fair bilateral trade deals that bring jobs and industry back onto American shores.
Agreed.gov is the site of that video, and obviously many more to come. And I think, frankly, as good as this one is, the national liberal, well, left-wing media certainly has a problem as he goes directly past them. Donald Trump today met with a potential cabinet pick, Trump tweeting this out after talking with Dr. Ben Carson. I'm seriously considering Dr. Carson as the head of HUD. I've gotten to know him well. He's a greatly talented person who loves people. And among my guests tonight, another person under consideration for a cabinet spot, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark, to take up the tragic costs of President Obama's war against law enforcement and what to do about it. Also with us tonight, Republican campaign strategist Tony Sayegh, an American, said this, quote, "It's just not something I feel very strongly about." Trump is feeling strongly, however, about his first day in office, calling for immediate action on trade, immigration, energy, the regulatory curbs, and national security. And to sort through what has arguably been the most interesting first 2 weeks of any presidential transition, I have with me tonight the chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp, and Republican campaign strategist, Fox News contributor, Tony Sayegh. Good to see you both. Let me start with this visit to the Times, Matt. He doesn't like the Times. Why is he talking to the Times?
I don't know. I like what the final answer was. Basically, Donald Trump has said that he loves Twitter because he can communicate to a large audience without having all the losses like the New York Times seems to experience. And I think he ought to just continue to talk around these people who have no desire to cover anything fairly or give him a fair shake.
Well, he is, Tony, as you know, also coming off a big meeting with big shots from the networks and dressing them down, calling them basically awful people who are operating awfully. What do you think the point of it all is?
Look, this is leg one, Lou, of a victory lap, frankly. It's one in which Donald Trump is going to make it very clear
the terms are going to be dictated by him and his administration to a large degree, as well they should. Look, the New York Times coverage of this campaign was grotesque. It wasn't biased. It wasn't unfair. It was absolutely absurd. They fabricated stories. They printed headline after headline without substantiation. They took their editorial page and put it on the front of the New York Times cover. That has never been done in such a way by a paper that was supposed to be viewed as a paper of record. And there you see Donald Trump going to them right in their home court and being open with them, sharing news, telling them he's not going to necessarily appoint a special prosecutor against Hillary Clinton. And that is what you do when you win. You actually go in there, you become a little bit magnanimous.
Well, you know what, my friends? The New York Times has sucked for a very long time. When I was a reporter back in New York, I would see an article in the New York Times, and then I would do what they call a follow-up story. I'd find the people who were interviewed, and I'd interview them, and I'd ask them a question, and they would say ABC. And I'd say, well, wait a minute. The Times story yesterday said it was XYZ. And the person would inevitably say to me, oh, the Times gets everything wrong. I can't tell you how many times I heard that. So it's not just biased reporting. It's also sloppy reporting. You know, the New York Times used to be the greatest paper in the world. It is now a pathetic shell of what it used to be. It's nothing. It's birdcage liner. Don't read it. Don't buy it. Don't subscribe to it. It's crap. Spend your time better listening to my show and watching my videos on YouTube. We'll take a break and we'll wrap it up for this week here on Riell Truth.
He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 10 through 13. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network.
Elizabeth Locker Planet Elizabeth reminds our listeners that the drug problem is well documented. We know our kids will be approached at early ages. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had the strength to say no to drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. That's from Elizabeth Locker Plant, located at 366 Grand Street in Elizabeth, serving our area since 1943 and specializing in naturalized aged beef and pork and complete custom processing. Call 303-688-2240. That's 303-688-2240. Piccolo's Restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's Restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo.
All right, guys, we've got 4 minutes left, and then we're done for the week. Item from the Daily Caller. National editor at Politico, Michael Hirsch, resigned after publishing the home addresses of alt-right figurehead Richard Spencer Tuesday morning and advocating for serious violence. Hirsch said, quote, I wasn't thinking of a blanking letter, Doug. In other words, this is talking to someone about what Hirsch wants them to do to Richard Spencer. What does he want them to do? He says, I wasn't thinking of a letter. He lives part of the time next door to me in Arlington. Our grandfathers brought baseball bats to Bund meetings. Want to join me? Unquote. You see, my friends, because here's how the world works. When you're a liberal, you're allowed to do or say anything. Violence, slander, insults. It's fine because you're a liberal, so you can do it. Make sense? Item from Reuters, Dateline Berlin. German Chancellor Angela Merkel on Wednesday threw her support behind efforts to fight the use of hate speech posted on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Google's YouTube. Stop! When Angela Merkel says hate speech, she means people posting the fact that Islam is conducting a worldwide jihad, it's dangerous, its people are dangerous, and that they're raping and murdering people. Now, you and I, maybe it's a difference in language. In English, that's considered fact or reality. In German, it's called hate speech, which explains pretty well why in the next couple of decades, Germany, as we've known it, will cease to exist. Good riddance. Item from Breitbart. Apple App Store and Google Play users are taking their displeasure out on CNN and other news sites by giving the company's mobile apps one-star reviews, citing the outlet's liberal bias. According to Digiday, in the last few weeks, CNN has been hit by a wave of one-star reviews, with over half of these reviews accusing the company of having a liberal bias. Unquote. My hat is off to the people who are giving CNN negative reviews. It's one way of metaphorically, symbolically, putting your leg up CNN's ass for being dishonest and lying with a straight face to the American people. Item from InfoWars. President-elect Donald Trump hasn't even taken office yet, but is already facing criticism for considering establishment Republican figures for spots in his cabinet. Unquote. My friends, here's another interesting thing about liberal thought. You're only fair if you put liberals in your cabinet. If you put conservative Republicans in it, you're what? Racist? Item from Market Watch. In just 90 days, they've made off with over $10,000 in cosmetics. Groups known as flash mob robbers storm a store, steal thousands in merchandise in just minutes, and bolt as quickly as they arrive. Among the most notorious are the Rainbow Girls, a group of female thieves named for their brightly hued hair who've hit dozens of stores in the Bay Area. My friends, this is as indicative as anything of the end of American society. Item from InfoWars. Dateline, Kansas City, Missouri. A Metro mom feels helpless after police say her daughter was attacked at school. The mother said students are targeting her daughter because of her skin color. Police say a 12-year-old girl was punched in the face at school by another student Monday at the Frontier School of Excellence. A second time in 2 weeks, her daughter was attacked and said it was because of her race. About 2 weeks ago, she reported being called racial names, the mom said. The girl is white. And she's being attacked because she's white. She's being punched because she's white. And that's America in 2016. All right, guys, enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your turkey. Enjoy your stuffing. I will be here on Monday with more Riell Truth. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay well fed. Hasta lumbago. I really meant to say stay angry, but I didn't want to end the night, end the week on that kind of note. So I said stay well fed. I'll see you on Monday, my friends. I've got turkey in my future. I hope you do too. Hasta lumbago.